We are in the City Hall Council Chambers, and this is the Festival Grounds Committee meeting. Second item on the agenda is consider placing the minutes from the previous meeting on file, which is the August 3rd, 23 meeting minutes.
Motion to place minutes on file.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to place the minutes of the August 3rd, 2023 meeting on file. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Next is agenda items for consideration, fair update. Brad, you got it?
I got a couple things that I'll hold off until we get to the capital improvements. To speed that up. But as far as the fair goes, I think it went pretty well. We've got the setup and the cleanup, I think, down to a pat. That's a couple days prior to the fair, we had a couple days where we were trying to think of things to do. We were that far ahead. There was a couple of hiccups that took place. I think some of the pricing on beer, there was a hiccup on that. But, which was fantastic, the VFW went and took care of it, and no issues. We had no problems whatsoever. They worked everything out amongst the stands, so everything went perfectly that way. We did have one stand that was upset over the no bringing in beverages clause on the paperwork that we had, and I got a pretty good earful on that one, but so be it. Friday nights, we were so full with parkers that we had to turn people away. The whole area was just so full, we just couldn't get anybody else in. We may have, I think 4-H Horse Show may move their show somewhere else at a different time, not during the fair. So that'll save moving dirt, I think, if we were, instead of having to bring it back and, all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Going with that, the amount of help that we got from the city was ridiculous. I mean, it's unbelievable. Anything we asked for, they helped us out with. Couldn't say enough. They made sure everything was on task and all perfect. And as far as that goes, I mean, like I said, we couldn't ask for anything more. I think everything else went smooth. I didn't hear much for complaints. Dave was down at the grandstand dealing with his stuff. I was on the grounds dealing with ours. So we didn't get to see much of anything else. But, I think we had one complaint where somebody said that they got bounced around on a ride for 10 minutes. I can see getting bounced around on a ride, but for 10 minutes was a little bit, much. Other than that, we had a lot of compliments about the workers. Unfortunately, we didn't have a Ferris wheel, and that was because they couldn't put it up. They didn't have anybody that was skilled enough to put it up, and it takes about 12 hours. And they didn't want to risk it. So, caution aside, they didn't put it up. But otherwise, everybody was very happy with the workers that came in on that as well. I don't think we had any issues with any of the stands as far as any complaints. I think everybody
Didn't hear one.
did gangbusters this year.
Becky, here.
But I think next year we're going to be going through some changes as far as grandstand shows and stuff like that. I met with Rod with regards to how many people we could fit in the arena area, and we're looking at bringing in some entertainment, but that's going to be a work in progress. And we'll see, because we can't bring in big entertainment because we don't have enough room to do it, because we have to bring our stage out from the
Buck and shoots?
the buck and shoots, because we can't, from where that is all we have is from there towards the grandstand. So we'll make some modifications in how we do things. So we can't bring in a high price one because we'll price ourselves out of the market for at least tickets. But we can't go real cheap because then we won't get anybody. So, but we'll look into that and see what we can do. Other than that, I think it was a successful year. I don't think, like I said, I don't think there was any complaints. And we'll just move on for next. We're working on next year as we speak, so.
Any questions for Brad?
Good job.
Yeah, Brad, you had mentioned with the topic of stones, still, even with sifted dirt coming out of the supplier,
What we did is,
and,
yeah, we had, in that portion,
yeah,
for our mud drags, our supplier pulled out on Friday before the fair. They said, nope, we don't have any dirt for you, and that was it. So we got a hold of Renee and Rob Caby, and they came through with some dirt. And we're talking really black dirt. It
yeah,
was,
yeah.
It was, as I put it, the organic stuff. It came from the Vandergeest fields. So it was all pulverized organics. They had bigger rocks in it, but we took care of that. And it went up real smooth. But we didn't have any issues with the small rocks like we did last year. Same thing with the, same problem that the quad racers had. you
Yeah,
know.
I brought it up because of the quad racers.
Yeah.
And the last thing we want is, even though they ganged up the surface,
Mhm.
they ganged that up into piles,
Mhm.
put it back on, there's still stones.
Oh, yeah.
Still
Yeah.
picks up stones.
Yeah.
And if a piece of equipment could help at all in that, because we don't want horses or cowboys getting stuffed into
Mhm.
rocks or danger,
Well, I think they.
or horse shows or anything else.
I think they picked, what, 6 loads or 7 loads of dirt, rocks when they went through it this last time?
We took the rock out and threw it,
Mhm.
and I think we should do that before the rodeo next year, is drag it, and just send the rock on through. It's an attachment on the front of the skid steer that
Yeah.
picked up quite a few.
Yeah.
But we need to, sometimes it hammers them down, but we need to drag it and work it and drag it and work it.
Mhm.
Because they keep working up from, yeah.
I think no matter what, when you keep moving it off and on, you're gonna pick up something. You're always gonna move that stuff up. You know, that's always gonna be a hazard, if you will.
Okay.
Unless you make it strictly horse and that's it, you know, you're gonna have that issue.
Well, and you can only expect some of that to last so long. Maybe we see if Peterson will bring the screening plant in and screen that material one more time, you
Yeah,
know?
that's about, yeah. Do they have fine enough screening?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you need that dragged, we could bring the good drag, you know, our drag.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Before the rodeo next year, let's work it good.
Yeah.
Okay. Rodeo update? Anything?
Working on next year?
Sounds good. Permanent vendor update.
Everyone had a great year. We were thankful for, actually, the Fair Board. They did a fantastic job of keeping sodas filled in all the stands, making sure the garbage was taken care of. Yeah, if we had a problem, it was very easy to communicate with somebody on the Fair Board to get it taken care of.
Good. Glad to hear.
We don't have final numbers from all the stands, but I believe they were very well.
Good.
How's the volunteer numbers? I mean, were they tough to get volunteers?
Every stand had trouble getting volunteers, but it's the nature of the beast. It's good to see the same faces, but you see the same faces working multiple stands,
Yeah.
working all the shifts, but it'll get better. And I think by moving the dates, I think that's going to help us, because there's a lot not going on at the beginning of August, where a lot of people were taking their final before school shopping trips and family trips, and so I think that's going to help us with volunteers as well.
Seemed like 4-H did a nice job for the first time out.
They did, and I don't know if you went and tried their food, but their food was excellent.
Yeah,
What are the dates for, you have them ready for next year?
7th through the 11th?
August?
August, yes.
Okay. All right. Discussion on promoting festival grounds any further? There was a list in our packet. If anybody
missed-
has any additional.
You missed the calendar.
What's that?
You missed the
Oh,
calendar.
did I? Sorry. Calendar of events, I apologize.
What do you got coming up? Excuse me, you got a flea market this weekend, then there's a gun show. Wrestling is back. That's all.
Yeah,
It's nice. Pound classes are every Monday and Wednesday in October. The Enrichment Center's having a craft and market fair. Chamber's having their banquet there. We got a wedding. And in November, there's Quinceañera. They're having on November 11th, and pound classes. There'll be some other stuff set.
Quinceañera.
Quinceañera, is that how I did do well in high school Spanish?
All right. Now, discussion on promoting festival grounds. There's, like I said, a list in the packet. If there's anybody else that has any ideas, I suggest you email them to me or to Hallie Saval, and we will look into trying to get more use down there, or Mr. Bjorklund too. He can email them to him, and we can sit down and see what we can do to help promote that area.
I can usually give you the formulas that most events are different.
Right.
So they'll have formulas that make them either successful or not.
Mhm. All right. Next, we have discussion on capital improvements for the festival grounds to forward to the budget. Nick, you got anything?
Well, Dave had handled this stuff in the past, but looking at a couple different things, the things that really pop out to me are the improvements to the barn that need to take place, the roof on the barn. Nothing is actively leaking over there now, but I would like to, if at all possible, find a way where we can maybe do a wing a year with the siding. All the wings have had work done to them as far as siding's concerned, so it won't be as big a project as the first go around. All the windows are, we made those, are all, we just gotta pop them out when we do the siding, so that side of it's done. The roof, the siding, the fans, maybe Brad, I'm not sure if every wing wants to have fans. I've heard nothing but positive from the pig wing.
I think everybody wants them, except I don't know if the horse people would.
Mhm.
But I've talked to the horse people about the condition of their wing.
Okay.
They don't like them whitewashed for obvious reasons. They don't want any of that stuff on their equipment and stuff. So we want them to get it painted. But we would probably like some more lighting in there.
Yeah, their wing did look the nicest until we had a whitewash. Now they kind of look
Which-
a little slummy down there now.
Which now everybody went nuts over the whitewash. You know, they thought it was fantastic, so.
We do plan on doing a walkthrough with an electrician to get an idea on what it would take to do the electrical upgrades. Ballpark estimate, Rod and I were talking between 25 and 30 grand to have everything in conduit. We were having problems down there apparently with breakers popping. It's old and it needs to be upgraded. And we're gonna have to upgrade it anyways if we wanted to add the fans that we're talking about doing down there. Another thing that really pops out to me is that the smallest bathroom. It's to the point now where it's almost impossible to get parts for the urinals and toilets down there. We have had some issues with valves bursting in the winter, just from the ball valve capturing water. I mean, everything's been blown back, but the one bathroom that gives us trouble is that one. We did some work to it. That one is going to need a roof sooner rather than later. But I don't know. I'm not sure which direction we're going to go with the campground.
Right.
Yeah.
If we're going to jump right into this, I do think we should look at the possibility of having something with showers.
Mhm.
That the building that sits there now would not suit that at all. That's a demo, in my opinion.
Right.
It's a real pain to clean.
Yes.
You're right.
The other brick one, we did the upgrades to that, and that one is not too bad to maintain. And obviously the new one's in great shape. So, other than the possibility of maybe doing something to the floor and the new one to keep that thing easier to clean, I don't have any complaints about that one. But the bathroom, the barn, the roof with the barn, electrical upgrades, those are my biggest concerns.
I worry about throwing money at that old bathroom. That's like throwing good money after bad,
Yep.
no matter what you do.
Yep.
Yeah,
There's a
I
no-win
don't think we
situation.
put any money into that old bathroom. If anything, we need to look at
But the 4-H bathroom, I always call it the 4-H because it has a shower in it, the one
Right.
over there.
We need to probably look at, like Nick said, removing that structure and potentially if, I was hoping Renee Krieger was gonna be here tonight for the campground update, but,
Is there a need for a bathroom that close to another bathroom? I'm thinking if we do showers, do we add showers on a wing to the smaller,
The one that's already there.
the mid-size bathroom? I just
Yeah.
don't, I mean, you're 40 steps away from another one. Then that would kind of free up some room for other things that could go in that place.
As long as there's showers available,
Mhm.
nobody.
campgrounds we've been to,
You could walk.
Well, you can walk a mile to get to a shower.
Yeah, to get to a shower, you walk, you drive, whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So if you put a wing on that one,
Or
that
whatever
would be out
money
of the
is spent,
question.
you put that money into that other bathroom, and that makes more sense to me.
Because you could probably bring that building to the south. You've got
Yeah,
a lot of room, and then you could add onto the existing showers there,
Right.
yeah,
domino it. You don't have to demo any of the toilets or anything else like
that would
that.
make the
The,
most
the
sense.
only thing would you be thinking, and maybe you haven't got that far yet, having the showers on the inside or access from the outside?
It's all
Because,
possible.
well, the thing is, if you have access from the outside, then you don't have to be male, female,
Mhm.
where if you have them on the, you got them on the inside the ladies' restroom, you got them on the inside the men's restroom.
Are you gonna want toilets available also, or just showers?
Just showers.
Actually, you probably want both for the
Yeah.
campground.
Well, we're gonna have to study this and,
Some of the
This won't be
campgrounds
done
I've
for a
been
couple
to, even up north where I'm from, you pay to shower. I mean, that's not uncommon anymore. I mean, that's something that could be looked at also.
But if you had individual doors, you could do it that way.
Right.
Right,
Right, yeah.
And make
yeah.
it, where, and you still have the bathroom available there.
right.
And I don't think
Make
you'd
the-
have to have a dozen shower stalls either. I mean,
No.
If you had four, you
Just
Four.
make it a little bit larger so it's like can be unisex.
you're gonna have to be handicapped anyways. I mean,
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
have to have some size to
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
so.
But if you want it unisex or something like that, you're gonna have to add on another room per se. Instead of extending it, keeping it on the same, floor plan, if you will, you'd have to add a wing onto it, because you don't want, you already got the existing showers right now, unless you get rid of the showers altogether that's in the current one and move them to another, which
Push that
again, I think it'd be costing a little bit more money doing it that way than just pulling it out an extra 20 feet.
Push it out more to the south.
Yeah,
There's absolutely nothing special about the showers, the two showers that are
Yeah.
in that building as it
Right.
is. so
That's right.
If you wanted to start over on those, that'd be.
It's just space right now.
Mhm.
Well, Nick mentioned a bunch of projects that we need to do. We need to start lining them up for, like this bathroom could be 3 years from now, but we need to start the planning process. So and Kathy said at the last personal finance meeting that the festival grounds has not submitted a budget yet. So are we prepared to come up with some numbers?
You have
or-
to prioritize what we want. I did get pricing on a roof for the grandstand, and they're up to 800,000 on it. I mean, it's,
Oh, yeah.
for getting used a couple times a year, I don't think that's top priority.
That's-
As far as lighting, take, for example, the poles we have downtown, the metal poles, each one of those is about $8,000 a piece. So, I mean, if we wanted to put 6 poles throughout to somehow brighten that up a little bit, you're talking close to $50,000.
Well, again, but are we prepared to recommend some of those things and stretch it out over 5 years? or-
And that's where we
Okay.
gotta prioritize.
Okay. And you've taken charge of this now, right? Rod, you're essentially in charge of the festival grounds, is that?
Between
what we're-
myself and the mayor, I think.
Okay, because we
should
need
be the ones
a
kinda
chain of command in there. So,
kinda looking at that.
And that all being said, what do we need for next year? Can we talk about that, specifically, what?
well,
what
I
we
mean,
need?
I've heard a lot with the electrical upgrade. I think that needs to be priority one in the
Yeah.
barn.
And that's the most affordable one.
Right. And if we start with that, make that number one, and then you were talking about a quoting for the roof at that one time?
So last year the last 2 years I got a quote. They honored 2 years ago to last year, the price of, it was 52,000 roughly to go over the existing rubber roof.
Okay.
I asked them to resubmit, and I got a price today, and what did I say, it was $77,000. And it's not gonna go back down, it's
No.
only gonna go up. So I don't know if it's, they say that it's good for 10 to 15 years. I don't know personally if I believe that. You're going over a bad roof.
Right.
So I don't know if we look at doing all the roofs at once, if we're gonna try and do a wing a year, if we do the roof while we do the siding. I'm not sure. I'd like to see it all done at once, but if it can't happen, it can't happen that way.
I think that if we do number one, the electrical upgrade, and number two, the fans for
Yep.
this year, and
Would,
then move next year.
would the committee like us to look at possibly getting a grant for some of these other things as far as ask for new roofs on the whole thing and come up with a price for it?
Yeah, of course.
Take that to appropriate.
Mhm.
Was
Is
once
there
ex-
anything available from the county if we wanted to do something for that campground, or is that gone?
No, I submitted a plan. Lori, do you want to speak to what happened at A&L last night? I didn't go.
We really didn't talk about it. Renee had said that she needed more information with the fencing and stuff before she was comfortable about talking more about it.
Okay.
That's why I thought she'd be here, but she might have had something else that
Right.
happened.
No, that's fine. I'll try to get a hold of her tomorrow and just see where we're at.
Are we putting a number in for camping for the budget?
Well, we're kind of waiting to see what,
I've heard a bunch of numbers.
right, I submitted the budget for the ARPA funds of, I think it was 85,000 to upgrade down there. I did ask him to take out the gravel base. Rick and I talked about that. And I asked him to take out the fence that ran along, and then maybe instead of replacing that fence on the backside, just to put the privacy slats in there.
And Brad talked about trees, fast-growing trees.
Right. But we're
Putting
trying-
those lasts in is really a pain in the, you know what?
But I don't know if we really want trees down there either.
We can do that through Park Department. They buy in bulk, so.
Easy enough.
Well, the privacy ones that I was talking about, they grow fast, but they also can, if they don't trim them too much, they go bushy, and they'll block off all the view, plus they'll give you the shade as well.
Yep.
So,
I'd rather look at trees than at those slats, plastic slats. I'll tell you that.
Oh, I don't disagree with you, but it's easier to maintain if you don't have
You're not
to.
gonna plant enough trees to make up for the slats.
You're down there camping, you're camping there and you're going out during the day doing something and you're not, you know,
Right.
you're sitting out there in the evening. I don't know if I'd even notice the fence.
Some of it's for the protection of the highway department too,
Right.
for people, look at that, let's go slash the tires or something
Yeah.
goofy, you know, it's not making generalizations at campers, but stuff happens. If you can eliminate some of those
Eliminate the
opportunities.
temptation.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Mayor, you feel we have our expenses covered for this coming year for the budget purposes, and then we just have to continue to work on perpetual budgets for other years and projects? Is that where we are?
Yeah, I think we'll submit the electrical and the fans for this year and for the budget. And from there, move forward if the
And
committee's
again,
comfortable with that.
what's for camping, what's gonna be submitted, or we're waiting on county?
I'm hoping to hear from Renee soon.
But
If there's,
we are gonna, it looks like we're going forward with that, and we knocked it out of last year's budget, so.
Right.
if there's, although it's not classic camping, the infield, we call it the infield, where the cowboys picket or the racers are in the infield, in the pit areas. If although it's not classic camping, they do live they have live-in trailers and that kind of thing, and they do plug in. So if there's a diversion of any a potential excess funds that could be sent there, that could be used, a use area for it.
Okay.
It's not a priority, but it would be helpful to that those pit areas.
Okay.
Basically, from my point of view, I guess, or whatever you wanna call it, just get some more power out there, so some better power. Not, just something that we want tripping breakers out in that field. And, I've been, looking at, we wanna go camping yet this fall, and been looking at different places, and every county, you put in there, Walworth County campgrounds, fairgrounds pop up. They've got X number of campsites, whether it's water, electricity, or full hookup with septic. And then they've got rough camping, just maybe electric, or just park your camper there. That one fairgrounds had 500 sites listed. And they've got a map showing the sites, and then they've got a map showing rough camping. So if you've got to bring a concert in or something, you're gonna need it for parking. I guess a better example would be, let's say, the fall ride. You could stack them in there like cordwood if you had to, they pay the fee, let them park and let them run their generator or whatever.
What do you think Hodag is? We're in a field.
Right, exactly. And then like.
Put up porta potties and
On the east side,
Showers, the deluxe.
where we,
you
put our
pay
hospitality,
$5 a
there are
shower.
Fair
two
hose shower.
electrical panels there with hookups for campers. So, that's another area that if you've got somebody that wants to come in, yeah, we got electricity, we got water for you. It's not a campsite, but you can use it as one. But if we just get some better power, upgraded power out in the field there, where, it would help us out as the rodeo. And I know our electrician was talking about redoing that box out there. And I talked to Dave when Dave was still here yet, and he said, as long as it's a licensed electrician, tell us what you're doing and have at it.
Is there an underground run out to there from the grandstand?
Nope, it comes from the cheese curd stand,
Yeah,
I think.
Cuts across there. We did have.
to that,
I thought there was
that
a
box.
Conduit buried under.
Conduit, I think there is conduit buried there.
Because the Rodeo and the Riders Club paid to put that in that time.
I know from our perspective, as far as electrical goes, we'd love to see more power go into that box that's in the ground on the southwest corner of the new bathrooms. Because we tap into that, and it's not enough to service our vendors, so we have to put them underneath the grandstand and stuff. Because there's no way, because we have to also share with the carnival as well. So I think their campers plug into it. So more there would be great as well. But also one of the things we notice is the electrical boxes on the southwest corner of the grounds itself, where we set up the lights and all that, is all indoor boxes on inside of exterior boxes. And I think our electrician did cut into the bottom so we can put the cords up through the bottom instead of having them, because
That's right where all the water collects on a heavy rain, remember that?
Yeah. And so we made a couple, but that's another one where eventually, nothing that's got to be done now. And you hit on the bathroom floors, on that new bathroom. I power wash at it every night. That's a pain in the butt because everything sticks to it.
You can't get it clean.
No. And
Can you do that on those coatings in there like they?
the epoxy.
To do it right, you'd have to have that kind of ground down, and it's rough. It's rough for a reason, so you're not slipping and falling.
Right.
But it grabs
Sealer would
everything.
know.
I don't think so. It's the texture that it catches everything. It's just
Yeah.
really tough to get that stuff up.
And
and
what
out
would
of
be
it.
great is, and from doing the power washing and seeing how it flows, having that epoxy or whatever go up the walls a little bit,
Mm.
because you're gonna have problems with
Kinda
water going in
tacky
those
epoxy.
walls. because it just kind of collects there,
Mhm.
and that's a pain in the butt.
Garage floor.
Yeah,
You put down.
but certain areas it slides right down to the walls itself. That's why I think going up the walls a little bit would be advantageous, you know, and then we can put a couple fans in there. And it'll
Milk
fan
house
off.
board on there?
What's that?
Is there milk house board on those walls, if I'm not?
Basically
Yeah,
what it is.
with the rubber
Trim.
kickboard on the bottom,
Yeah.
and that stuff is even popping off.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's where I was thinking of, you know, something to, like the old bathroom, the really old bathroom has that
Yep.
concrete that goes up, which is excellent for cleaning, but, you know, but then, eventually down the line too, fencing off the grounds as well. Again, nothing that has to be done immediately, but something that maybe we can look at trying to raise funds for.
As far as lighting, exterior lighting down there, we had talked about, I mean, when the fair is there, their rides kind of light up
Mhm.
things, don't they? I mean.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and that I'm not complaining about. We're good for now. There's more
So-
important things that have to be dealt with. So, the lighting I think is fine. The only issue I have is having to go around there's 11 boxes I have to go around to turn on lights, you know. But again, I don't think we're gonna get away from that, you know, unless we put in photo cells and turn them on to let them, you know, run throughout the fair like that. Then they'll turn off during the day and turn on at night, but otherwise, I think the lighting is sufficient for now, you know, for what we have going, so.
Would it be, you know, we talked about exterior fencing or perimeter fencing. I know at one time we talked about doing like that wrought iron like they did downtown, you know, the city, you guys kind of made that in your off-season, although I know there is no off-season anymore, but,
Cheaper to buy it.
okay, if we could get the comment was made, you know, that fence, we put the snow fence up for the rodeo, and it's up there pretty much all summer.
Yeah.
You know, around the outside, could you get a price on what it would be from the driveway there by Pinecrest on the north side to the Humane Society, and from the Humane Society down to the Armory?
I think we did a quote on it once before, and it would go from the northwest corner of the county grounds, all the way up Sales Street to Sixth, all the way down to the Humane Society, and then from the Humane Society again to.
Right.
It would be, I think we looked at wrought iron, and it was like 40,000 at that time.
Oh, it'd be more than that.
Yeah,
Well,
at
what-
that time it was 40, yeah.
What I was looking at, or were thinking of, was if we could get what we need fenced in for the rodeo and for the fair, that corner.
Yeah.
That east side.
We
and then-
have the Humane Society, which you can utilize that fence.
Right.
So you're just looking at along Memorial and then maybe over to, well,
For, best purpose would be to do the entire sales to Sixth
But you,
and then over.
what you'd want, you're still a free show.
Correct.
It's
But the
a
thing is,
free
though,
fair,
it'd
and you're
be-
trying to get them to enter in certain places.
Right.
That's really the only purpose of the fence.
And
Other than
keeping
decorative.
animals in, plus if,
Animal containment in case there's a mishap.
and also if you get another event in there that,
$40,000 to contain.
no, it's gonna be a lot more than that.
Way
It's
more than that.
50 grand just for that self fence.
So.
I mean, that
I'm
was a
just
6-foot high
trying to-
chain link.
There are certain areas where, like if there's an elevation change
Mhm.
behind the expo building,
Mhm.
you don't want people to stumble and they're gonna drop down 6 feet.
there's
But
I think there's
There's
fencing there
fence
already.
there.
Fence there.
There's fence there.
You could utilize actually the,
that's, yeah.
the
I'm
building
just-
and the fence and just bring
Trying
it
to-
down a little bit, you know what I'm saying, as far as,
Trying to think of not letting them out, not putting fence where where it doesn't matter to you.
But a lot of cases too, we
Because
found that,
at that cost, that's a huge cost that could be diverted.
right, but if there's a way to raise funds for it, that'd be one way to do it. But we found out that we had a couple individuals that were open carrying down there, and made a bunch of people a little freaked out. The fact that we don't have any fencing, there's nothing we really can do about it.
I don't follow you.
State law, state statutes are pretty particular on some of that stuff. And they can walk anywhere they want, which is fine. I have no issues with open carry or concealed carry.
Right, no.
But the thing is, though, we can stop them from going into a barn or one of the buildings, but we can't stop them on the grounds. So there's certain requirements to be a venue, and we don't meet those requirements because we don't charge, we don't have a fenced-in area
Perimeter.
and stuff like that. So we're kind of limited on our enforcement of a lot of things in those grounds.
Okay, I'd be careful on the expenditure just because it's so easy to walk in.
Oh, and again, it's not something that we'd be looking at doing tomorrow.
Yeah, no,
It'd be
I agree.
great.
I agree.
You know, but again, we know the realization of it, so.
I was kind of thinking, Rod, you had mentioned chain link. Could we do something a little bit classier instead of just a plain chain link fence?
No, I was just throwing out the price.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, along in the county, you would put up the chain link where you could do the weave in, you know.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just throwing out the $50 a foot for that,
Okay,
you know, where
okay,
it's,
okay. A nice looking fence, and, if we do it in stages, get a price on something, because that snow fence is up from the rodeo until after the fair.
It's looking pretty nasty.
Do that section first,
That
and
is-
at least that outside fence is nice fence, and you don't see the stuff in the infield, on the grounds, it's quite as easy as that stuff when you're driving by.
That snow fence is nasty.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's
probably
way
30
past
years
its
old.
sell-by date.
no, but from the Armory up to the Humane Society fence on Memorial,
Right.
Yeah.
and from the west line of the Humane Society to even the 6th Street entrance, I mean, that would be a start.
Right, taking the
Yeah.
chunks. Rod, other departments, they have 5-year plans normally? Or
You know,
do they reach out further than that?
We go out further than that, but realistically, I mean, we're 3 years and our priorities change. I mean, it's a
Well,
3
if
to
we-
5 year plan.
If we could establish at least some sort of 5-year plan and put
Yeah.
all these ideas in there, they say won't be forgotten about, and we can update the prices each budget.
I just look at the bigger picture of other departments and other needs, and it's kind of hard to throw $50,000 for lighting gets used a couple times a year, or, $800,000 for a roof.
Exactly, but we'll be
Yep.
able to make,
Yep.
the dumb councilmen be able to make those decisions.
No, it's not that, it's priorities.
Yeah, exactly, but we need to put out our ideas and establish a program for the future.
We'll have them
Take a
for
little
the
bit of time.
26th budget meeting, and I know that we're saying we don't have them here to approve, but we'll bring them there for the council members to approve the electrical for the barns or the big one, right?
Yep.
So we'll
Yeah.
get those numbers. We're looking at 30,000 just for
Yeah.
the upgrades, not the fans. So there's gonna be some increased costs for the fans, and I think, it depends if we do one wing a year or however we do it, but at least get the upgrades, because I know they were blowing breakers left and right, and there weren't they, as far as,
Yep.
They had put in a whole bunch of the smaller fans, and what they put in as far as financially, to put in those smaller fans, they could have put in the big fans like we did for the pigling.
Yep.
But again, it doesn't stop them from putting in the small fans. They're gonna keep doing that.
yep.
Rodeo has some generators would let you use.
Well, some of them, I think, were utilizing some of
Yeah.
them because they just didn't have enough juice.
You may have hit it's easier to find grant money for something that is kind of pretty.
Mhm.
And a pretty length of fence is much better than like a chain link.
Mhm.
So that could be something that you'd look for in next years.
Yeah. And I think too, for the fans in the pig wing, I think we got them through Merrill Equipment.
Yep.
And they did it as a special pricing for 4-H or for the fair.
They were
Yeah.
extremely affordable.
Yeah, so I think
Yeah.
that's another good thing that they are willing to work with us on it, if it's for that reason, so.
All right.
Do we want to look at, Nick had mentioned the siding on there, do we want to look at, go big and bold and ask for the roof and the siding to a
I
foundation?
think you do it all in one bundle.
The only reason
Because-
I was talking a wing a year is so we can do it in-house. I'm not gonna be able to do a whole barn in a year.
No.
But the paint is not gonna, we did what we could with the paint. I mean, we
Right.
cleaned it off as good as we could. It's not gonna stick forever.
As a project, if it's bundled, it's kind of an easier presentation.
I do have a
To-
wrecking
to
crew
those
for you if you need it.
So what?
I do have a wrecking crew if you do need it.
That was very helpful last time.
They're more than willing to bring a sledgehammer, so, with the old bathroom too, by the way.
Yeah.
Rod, you got anything else to add?
1954 that was built.
All right, we'll move on to monthly reports. Mr. Bjorklund.
I outlined, I just wanted to zero in on two areas. One, the city, the parade and the car show is it's so uniquely Merrill. You couldn't invent that event today from scratch and make it make sense. No, you couldn't convince everyone to open their food stands for 4 hours? That they were gonna attract that many car shows or that much. It would be almost impossible to convince someone that that one day of 4 or 5 hours was gonna be worth it to open up as an event. But it is uniquely Merrill. People flock to it. And even when it was 100 degrees out, every year I see it, it still amazes me. The auction has also asked a question as to whether or not he could consider having an auction on a Wednesday night. He used to do that back when he had his own farm, his own auction center. But that would be, there would be some infringement on existing schedule. He hasn't said yes, hasn't said no, but he's said, is it approachable? He's asked.
I don't see why not, you know, how you'd handle his scheduling with other events. You know,
If we have it far enough in advance. I mean, if it's
Can make the
six
adjustment.
6 months in advance and it's not every week, we can probably plan it out.
Is it something that he could be in and out of there in the night, or? Because I mean, I could
He'd
get some of
still-
there early enough to have it clean.
Still have a day of setup. It'd be, well, at least a half a day prior setup. Evening setup prior to, that could work. But it's still gonna demise that building for at least that day.
Right.
You're gonna, people could walk, you know, there's certain things that could coexist. But the question comes up, and there are certain things that couldn't coexist.
Yep, but if it's far enough advance where it's
Then
not just next week.
Make an adjustment, yeah.
I don't track the stuff, but I thought Wednesday night was isn't that the pound night down there?
Go pound somewhere else.
Right.
I go to that class.
Is it Wednesday night?
It is Wednesday night.
Outside pound?
Grandstand.
Parking lot pound?
Monday night, I'm gonna use my sticks, I'm gonna pound.
Steckling building,
There you go.
Becky, there's plenty of room for both Lang to set up auction and to do your classes, right? And that's big.
No.
How many are in that class, Becky?
They don't like to stand close to each other.
20, 30?
You could absolutely could not use that room down the hall.
Mm-mm. Just
They're
varies.
swinging their arms, they got
Right.
room.
And now with it being fall, there's a lot more attending
Oh,
than
sure.
summer.
You have seasonal pounders, is that what
Was
you're saying?
Like, I don't pound in the summer, but I pound in the fall and winter.
Let it be known this was not on my report.
We did have a request to get in there early for this weekend, and we stuck with our normal schedule of being in there at noon on Fridays, in case anybody hears anything. I know there was extenuating circumstances, but we gotta kind of start sticking to it, so that's where we are.
Anything else in your report, Rick?
No, that's,
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to place the monthly report on file.
Also move.
I'll second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Public comment period. Hearing none, we'll move to date and time of next meeting, Thursday, October 5th at 6 o'clock, if that works. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
You gotta get over and show the building to a
I
family.
make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion, a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we are adjourned.